Chapter 1 Soul Society, Siriitii, 1st Division Barracks. Amidst the sounds of enthusiastic training from the soldiers, Uehara Shiroa stretched lazily and slowly got up. After casually donning his Shinigami uniform, he habitually opened the task panel to check his daily assignments. As expected, today's task had been refreshed. Visiting old friends, daily task. Today's wind is particularly strong, a perfect day for drinking. You decide to invite a friend for a drink and a chat. Reward, random attribute +2. A simple panel, simple tasks, and good rewards. It was exactly what he expected from his system, laid back, stress-free, and perfect for a salted fish like him. In his previous life, Uehara Shiroa had been an ordinary office worker. More than 20 years ago, he inexplicably found himself reincarnated into the world of Bleach, becoming just another Rakangai orphan. Having read the manga, he was well aware of how Soul Society operated. This place was home to countless spirits. Those without spiritual pressure were merely wandering souls, constantly at risk of being erased from existence. Those with spiritual pressure could become Shinigami, and those with exceptionally strong spiritual pressure could live for thousands of years, securing their place in Soul Society's ruling class. However, even achieving Bankai did not guarantee safety. After all, history proved that Siriitii was far from secure. Following Aizen's rebellion, the Quincy King Yawatch arrived, causing even greater devastation. One by one, powerful Shinigami fell. Even the strongest of them all, Captain Commander Yamamoto, was slain. If not for Kurosaki Ichigo's miraculous intervention, Soul Society would have been annihilated. In a world filled with such catastrophic threats, having the power to protect oneself was essential. Fortunately, Uehara Shiroa possessed an innate talent for spiritual pressure, allowing him to become a Shinigami. His talent, while not monstrous, was still quite decent. More importantly, as a transmigrator, he had a golden finger. Upon his arrival in this world, he awakened a task system, a simple panel devoid of intelligence. The system provided only 2 types of tasks. The first was a daily task, like visiting old friends. Completing these tasks granted random attribute increases, such as enhanced Ryatsu or skill proficiency. The second type was special tasks, which were triggered randomly. These tasks provided even greater rewards, sometimes granting abilities or equipment from other anime and movies. For example, when he had first arrived in Rakangai, he had triggered the special task, exploring Rakangai. Completing it had granted him the shadow clone technique from Naruto, a skill so overpowered it was practically a cheat code. With the system's assistance, Uehara Shiroa confidently joined the Shino Academy and became a reserve Shinigami. From then on, he leisurely completed daily tasks and occasionally sent out shadow clones to train in his stead. Before he knew it, more than 20 years had passed, and both his strength and status had undergone a complete transformation. On the surface, his talent seemed slightly inferior to prodigies like Ikimaro Jin, Shiba Kaien, and Kuchiki Byakuya. But in truth, what people saw was only the tip of the iceberg. With a thought, Uehara Shiroa pulled up his character panel. Name, Uehara Shiroa. Position, 1st Division, 7th Seat. Ryatsu, 3rd Class, Captain Level. Zanpakuto, Shunkyo, Fleeting Void, 2nd Stage Shirkai, change Zanpakuto name from Danko to Shunkyo, because Danko already existed. Zanjutsu, Vice Captain Level. Hakuda, Senior Officer Level. Kido, Captain Level. Shuunpa, Vice Captain Level. Abilities. Shadow Clone Technique, B Rank, Mastered. Stand, White Album, S Rank, Mastered. Breathing Technique, Sun Breathing, B Rank, Proficient. Items. Disguise Glasses, B Rank, Kryptonian Creation. 5 Thunder Curse, C Rank, Talisman for Cultivation. Death Gloves, D Rank, Extraordinary Artifact. After joining the academy, he had completed a special task and received the S Rank ability, Stand, White Album. This stand, originally belonging to Gyacho from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure Part 5, allowed him to generate ultra-low temperatures, freeze the air to create armor, and even lower temperatures to absolute zero. 3 years after receiving his Asachi, he successfully awakened his Zanpakuto, Shunkyo. Shunkyo's ability was reminiscent of Obito's Kamui, a complete fusion of the left and right eye techniques. However, due to the presence of countless old monsters in Soul Society, Uehara Shiroa disguised its true nature. He publicly claimed that his Zanpakuto was named White Season, with an ice-based ability that could freeze everything around him. His exceptional performance at the academy earned him the title of genius, and he graduated as the top student, securing a position in the First Division. As the Captain Commander's direct unit, the First Division had the highest status, the best resources, and the fiercest competition. To prove their strength, several officers had challenged him to duels upon his arrival. Uehara Shiroa, who preferred a relaxed life, had merely fought half-heartedly. Yet, before he even used his full strength, his opponents had already collapsed. Thus, he inexplicably became the 7th seat of the First Division, a small but respectable leadership position within the Gotei 13. After all, each division housed hundreds of Shinigami, and to become an officer, especially in the First Division, was a significant achievement. Still, Uehara Shiroa had no interest in climbing further up the ranks. In his previous life, he had suffered enough under the work culture. In this life, he just wanted to take things easy, complete his daily tasks, and live a peaceful existence. Overtime? Not in this lifetime. Why bother when he could be drinking with Kayaraka Shunsui and casually finishing his daily missions? With that thought, Uehara Shiroa staggered out of the barracks. His leisurely demeanor stood in stark contrast to the officers training diligently around him. Seeing him, several officers could only shake their heads helplessly. Uehara Shiroa had long proven himself a genius. And geniuses always had privileges. Ordinary soldiers looked at him with a mix of admiration, awe, and envy. Becoming an officer of the First Division before turning 40? Befriending captains like Kayaraka Shunsui? Rising from Rukongai to surpass noble-born Shinigami? It was the kind of success story they could only dream of. But while they saw a carefree young man, they remained unaware of what was happening behind the scenes. Within that personal space exclusive to Shunkyo, for shadow clones were relentlessly training in Zanjutsu, Hakuta, and Kido. As a transmigrator, Uehara Shiroa understood just how overpowered the shadow clone technique was. Despite being labeled a mere B-rank ability, its training potential was on par with S-rank skills. It was Naruto Uzumaki's personal cheat code, one of the greatest hacks in existence when it came to skill development. Once a shadow clone was dispelled, its knowledge and experience were instantly transferred to the original body. By creating 4 clones at once, Uehara Shiroa essentially had 4 extra bodies constantly training in his place. This alone was enough to master the fundamental 4 techniques of a Shinigami. While others took centuries or even millennia to hone their skills, he had achieved in 20 years what most Shinigami couldn't accomplish in a lifetime. The secret behind his strength? Shadow clones, grinding, and an unshakable determination to slack off. Support me at patreon.com/goldengaruda and check out more chapter of this or more early access chapter of my other fanfic translation. Chapter 2. Inside his personal training space, Uehara Shiroa could sense his shadow clones diligently honing their skills. A faint smile tugged at the corners of his lips as he felt more at ease. Stepping outside, he took a few casual Shuunpa strides and arrived at the 8th Division's barracks in no time. The 1st Division bore the responsibility of leading the 13 court guard squads, conveying the resolutions of the Central 46, and overseeing official meetings. Meanwhile, the 8th Division specialized in intelligence gathering, monitoring the Rukongai districts, compiling reports on Suriitei's various squads, and essentially serving as the eyes and ears of the 1st Division. Due to their closely linked roles, a dedicated liaison officer was required to facilitate communication between the 2 divisions. That person happened to be Uehara Shiroa. Through this position, he had naturally become well acquainted with Kayaraka Shunsui, the 8th Division's captain. Over time, they discovered that their personalities, temperaments, and interests aligned perfectly. One enjoyed slacking off and drinking sake. The other also enjoyed slacking off and drinking sake. Thus, their friendship was inevitable. Frequent visits led to familiarity, and before long, Uehara Shiroa and Kayaraka Shunsui became drinking buddies. Of course, unlike the perverted old man, Uehara Shiroa had no ulterior motives. He was merely studying the cultural customs of Seoul society while efficiently completing his daily tasks. On the way to the 8th Division, Uehara Shiroa encountered no obstacles. With practiced ease, he reached the captain's office and entered. Upon seeing him, Kayaraka Shunsui pretended to be hard at work but quickly abandoned the act as he greeted him enthusiastically. "Shiroha, you're here? What's that? A drink? No, no. Lisa will kill me. Wait, why did you already open the sake? That's top-grade liquor. I got this bottle after serious effort from an old hermit in the mountains. All right, just one glass. No more than that." Half a day later, Lisa Yadamaru, who had just returned from her duties, noticed something odd. The division members' gazes felt off. Her heart sank. Could it be that guy again? Without hesitation, Lisa flashed into the captain's office, her mind already prepared for the worst. Then, she saw it. Kayaraka Shunsui was swaying drunkenly, singing an indecent tune. And there, sitting comfortably, was Uehara Shiroa, completely relaxed and smirking. They had done it again. Lisa clenched her fists hard. Her patience snapped. A large part of the reason she had been drowning in work was because of these two. Her voice boomed through the office. "Captain, take your job seriously. And stop drinking during working hours." Uehara Shiroa, with practiced ease, immediately shifted the blame. "This has nothing to do with me. I just opened the bottle." Kayaraka Shunsui gave a sheepish smile and tried to pacify her. "Ah ha ha. Lisa-chan, don't be so harsh. It was just a moment of happiness. I'll punish myself with 3 drinks, and I promise this won't happen again." "Ha!" Lisa's glasses-wearing, seemingly quiet demeanor shattered in an instant. A terrifying aura of doom radiated from her petite frame as she slowly drew her zanpakuto, Haguro Tanbo. "You two, enough." Realizing that violence was about to commence, Uehara Shiroha made a swift exit, disappearing with a shuunpa. As for Kayaraka Shunsui, he was on his own. The sounds of pleas for mercy echoed behind him, but Uehara Shiroa remained steadfast in his decision. Better his survival than both of them suffering. The wine was finished, the salted fish lifestyle preserved, and the mission successfully completed. Perfect. System notification. Congratulations! You have completed today's daily task. Reward, +1 Ryatsu, +1 sun breathing proficiency. Uehara Shiroa felt a subtle shift in his Ryatsu. A slight boost, but in Seoul society, Ryatsu is everything. Battles between Shinigami were battles of spiritual pressure. The strong overwhelmed the weak. Sometimes, a mere glance was enough to erase someone from existence. Aizen's sheer presence alone had rendered Renji, Hitsugaya, and Kamamura completely powerless back then. In this world, absolute Ryatsu meant absolute authority. Moreover, the stronger one's Ryatsu, the longer their lifespan. More time meant more missions meant greater Ryatsu, and greater Ryatsu meant even more time. A perfect cycle of power. Even if his innate spiritual pressure wasn't as monstrous as Aizen's, Uehara Shiroha knew he could still grow infinitely stronger through daily tasks. This was the exact realm that Aizen had once dreamed of reaching. Additionally, his sun-breathing proficiency had increased. With a single daily task, he had gained deeper insight into its 12 forms. His strength had improved yet again. This was the true power of his system. as long as he stayed alive long enough and continued his daily grinding, he would eventually reach the peak of Soul Society. In Bleach, Ryatsu classifications were as follows: 20th class, ordinary squad members; 10th class and above, eligible for seated officer positions; 8th class and above, minimum requirement for Shirkai; 5th and 4th class, vice captain level; 3rd class, captain level. Most importantly, a Shinigami with 3rd class Ryatsu could live for 1,000 years. With only daily tasks, Uehara Shiroa could max out every ability effortlessly. 1 million daily quests? Who could possibly compete with that? Meanwhile, back at the 8th division, Kayaraka Shunsui had sobbed himself sober. Lisa, his ferocious vice captain, had refined her physical sobering technique to perfection. Watching Uehara Shiroa's hasty retreat, Lisa muttered, her tone filled with irritation. TCH. He ran fast. He got off easy. Kayarako sighed dramatically. You two sure get along well. Lisa shot him a glare. We are just ordinary book friends. Don't misunderstand. It was true. Lisa often visited bookstores to buy and read literature. She was a serious and proper bookworm. At least, for now, she hadn't fallen into the world of more peculiar literature. Since Shiroa frequented the same bookstores, they had simply grown familiar with each other. Kayaraku smirked knowingly. Oh? Just book friends, huh? Lisa adjusted her glasses, looking unbothered. Then, without another word, she flicked her pigtail and left.